So now we begin with the information, and we begin going to Luis Gutierrez, Special Envoy in LA. Luis, how is the West Coast preparing during this day? How is it living it? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. We are only maybe less than 5 hours before the ballots close here in the West Coast in the state of California. In a day that has just passed by with relatively calmly, especially when you compare it with other states such as Pennsylvania, where we saw enormous lines. And well, here in California, voters have been expressing to us, like in this voting center in the Echo Park neighborhood, we're hearing opinions in relation to the presidential election, where voters would express that they didn't believe that the presidential vote would have that much of an impact in their daily lives, and they were actually, a lot of them were more concerned about the local vote and the different propositions that are being passed here in California, some related to education, some related to the environment, and one of the most important ones related to forced labor in prisons.
So, Luis, of course, you're in the West Coast, and there's just a couple of hours for the voting centers to close. What are we supposed to expect in the coming hours?
Well, in the coming hours here in California, we're just expecting actually for more voters to show up. This is we're close to the end of the workday for most people. We saw a lot of voters coming this morning, and then the numbers sort of dwindled through the day. But then now, when we're like at maybe 5 hours before the polls close, we're seeing a lot more people coming into these voting centers, a lot more traffic coming in and out.
So last, I would like to ask you, what you mentioned some of the topics that were the most important ones related to the local elections as well. We know that in this kind of elections, of course, California is one of the states that, well, we know, or there's a big assumption of how it's going to vote. But what is the topic, the national topic of discussion that has most affected the population, you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're correct. It's assumed that California will be a state that will be in favor of the Democratic candidate Kamala Harris, and it will give her 34 of the votes of the Electoral College. But one thing that's important to mention is that even if that's the case, like whatever the result of the election will affect the state in a very particular way. If Trump were to win the election, what is expected is that it will be a very similar situation as the one during that we observed during his first term, where the government of California actually sued the Trump administration more than 100 times. So if he were to become the president of this country, it would mean that the state of California will be in a constant battle, especially in terms of abortion rights, education, and weapons, like the control of guns, right? And if Kamala Harris were to be the winner of this election, then what is expected is that a lot of local politicians, because as we know, this is a local state. This is Kamala Harris is from Oakland, is from California, so it is expected that she will also bring a lot of local or like Californian politicians into the White House as part of her staff.
So finally, Luis, one more question. You mentioned the environment cause as one of the things that has to do with the votes, the local votes that are also going on. Let's recall that in these elections, besides each voter voting for the presidential and the presidential post, and also to the Congress, each state has its local bids. So you mentioned the environment as one of the things that the citizens are voting on in California. Could you expand a little bit on that bid in particular?
Yes, of course. So one of the propositions that it's on the ballot in the state of California, it's a proposition that increases significantly the budget for environmental policies and especially to prevent wildfires. As we, as we know, the last couple of years, California has suffered tremendously under wildfires related to climate change. And also, as we know, if Trump were to become president, there won't be. He is a person who denies the existence of climate change, right? So that there wouldn't be a national policy to take care of this situation. However, the state of California is already putting in place, or is hoping to put in place, this measure to allocate a big part of their budget into preventing the effects of climate change, such as wildfires.
Thank you, Luis, for your report. We'll be coming back to you throughout the night as the voting day continues, so you can tell us everything that's going on from there.
Thank you.